Will the newly returned Justice League be able to help the rest of the DC heroes battle back against the Great Darkness, or is all too lost? Well, let's hop into the pages of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths issue number 7, the grand finale of this series, and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last action-packed issue had left off, the newly returned Justice League had joined Dick Grayson's forces of superheroes in battle against the Dark Army. Early on, things looked like they were actually going good for the good guys. Unfortunately, every time they gain some ground, the Dark Army just ends up corrupting someone else to refill their ranks. Not even the defeat of Pariah actually seemed to slow them down, as the Great Darkness just hijacked the body of Deathstroke the Terminator, meaning that Nightwing and him meet for one big old-fashioned solo fight. But this isn't just any old-fashioned duel to the death. Oh no, they decide to spice things up a little bit by having one of those battles inside the mind's eye sort of things, wherein, as a nice little visual flair, both Dick and Slade end up returning to their most original forms, right down to the short pants and those boots that kind of look like pirate boots that were all the rage once upon a time. Now, you may remember before I questioned the idea why someone with such a mercenary mindset like Deathstroke would actually care about these crisis-level events. Well, in this issue, he does actually try and explain his thinking. While Slade viewed Pariah as crazy, he thinks that the Great Darkness makes some points, mainly about returning the world to nothing. After all, if everything is nothing, then there can be no more suffering, especially for the poor children of the world. Yes, you heard me right, everyone. Deathstroke, of all people, cares about the poor little children of the world. Well, mainly his own children, who Dick is quick to say only suffer because he's like maybe the worst father who ever lived. Well, no one ever said Deathstroke was a master of introspection, so I'll take a hypocritical motivation over no motivation any day. It's also around this time, too, the series tries to pay off all of those different tie-ins that for some reason they decided to stick right between the penultimate issue and the big finale we're reading right now. Damian Wayne Robin and his away team return, meaning that everyone gets multiversal reinforcement. There's also the return of Dr. Light, who had fused herself with the light of the Monitor, meaning that she has basically the equivalent of Deathstroke's tie to the Great Darkness, and they think it can help them actually free the multiverse from the darkness infection. It's a good thing, too, that Barry, Wally, and the rest of the Flash family have also showed up around this time, too, so they can take that power and spread it all throughout the multiverse and the newly returned Infinite Earths. In fact, even though it really only became a thing here in these last few issues, I do actually kind of like the idea that for Wally and Dr. Light and a couple other characters who were there for the events of the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, that getting to see the Infinite Earths not only return, but getting to save them from the Great Darkness and in turn stabilize them represents their lives coming full circle. Then there's the continuing strange case of Black Adam. He had gotten over his survivor's guilt at the end of the previous issue, had actually gotten involved to save John, and well, he continues that character journey here in this issue by risking life, limb, and corruption at the hands of the Dark Chains to not only protect Dick from a rampaging Deathstroke, but also quite literally give of himself to make it so that all the heroes on the battlefield can get themselves a big Shazam-level power-up. Wow, what a cool image. I can't believe it's just put in right here at the end. I actually would have loved to have seen this explored more. Deathstroke is ultimately defeated, but as I stated before, the Great Darkness just tries to find another host, in this case the closest person around, Dick himself. But of course, you don't need me to tell you that Dick is a special case. He doesn't fear the darkness. Batman raised him in the darkness, brought him up around it. The Great Darkness, unlike Deathstroke, also isn't inherently evil. Darkness is what you make it. Meaning that not only is Nightwing able to power through his own possession, but he finishes Deathstroke off for good this time by whacking him upside the face with his own dark chain. And with that, the battle is finally won, the crisis is averted, the day is saved, and we go into full-on wrap-up mode. All the different super families who were shattered by the death of the Justice League are now reunited, except for the Green Arrow family, because Ollie never actually made it home, but don't worry, Joshua Williamson is writing a new Green Arrow series soon, so I'm sure he won't be gone for long. The Assorted Titans all go back to trying to fix their tower. The JSA are more respected now than ever for the part they played in saving the world. Justice League Incarnate goes back to the multiverse. Darkseid is alive again, so is the Quintessence. Dr. Light is more powerful now than ever. In fact, even Deathstroke himself didn't die, though he certainly wishes he was dead, because once the Great Darkness left his body, it also took with it that super soldier serum that allows him to heal. Meaning that he'll be living the rest of his days in horrible, blinding pain, and you know what? Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. The heroes all come together to rebuild revealed the Hall of Justice, and we actually get a really nice aside featuring Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. They talk about how once upon a time they actually used to be the new upstart young kids on the scene. Barry says that with the return of the Infinite Earths, him and a couple of the other Flashes are going to go on a big trip to investigate all of them now and see how things have changed. Hal, on the other hand, says he wants to spend some time on Earth for a change, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to read all about it in their new upcoming series. Clark and John both thank Black Adam for all the help that he managed to give during these very trying times, but Black Adam, being Black Adam, is too cool for all of it and says that he plans to leave the Justice League behind and strike out on his own again. As a cool take-no-prisoners anti-hero, much more in line with his movie appearance, which I'm sure when Joshua Williamson wrote this, he had no idea how that whole saga would have gone. And lastly, of course, there's still the matter of the Justice League itself. In a move that will surprise probably no one, Batman comes to Dick, thanks him for all of his hard work, and says that perhaps for the foreseeable future, the Justice League should stay dead. After all, this recent upheaval has only proved to Batman and the other members of the League that the Justice League itself needs to change with the times, become something more, get a better, more concise mission statement. And when the Justice League does rise again into a brand new dawn, they want Nightwing to lead that new team. Now, that's where the main Dark Crisis storyline comes to an end, but don't you dare stop or catch your breath for even a minute, because we already gotta start hyping up the next big event storyline, Lazarus Planet. We jump forward an unknown amount of time in the future, wherein we see a shadowy individual taking a meeting with a group called the Council of Light. And why yes, this is indeed them fully canonizing the Light from the Young Justice cartoon show into the official continuity. Apparently they've always been active in the DC universe, we've just never seen them until right now. Shadow Person here says that the hierarchy of the DC universe has been changed by recent events. There's more multiversal stuff, more Earths, more time travel going on than ever, and it seems that the very superheroes themselves are no longer held by the rules of death, which, I mean, that was always the case, and technically the Justice League didn't even really die this time around. But these are all semantics. This Shadow Person wants the go-ahead to be able to imprison all of these heroes. And if that sort of modus operandi sounds familiar to you, it should, because this Shadow Person is revealed to be none other than Amanda Waller, leader of Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. And she even has a whole new team lineup backing her up this time. There's familiar faces like Peacemaker, a new female Peacemaker, $5 says it's hardcore, as well as some mysterious new faces that I'm sure we're going to get to learn all about in the next new event when it drops soon. And so that was DC's Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths issue number 7, everyone, and overall I thought it sure was an event. Okay, that's a lot meaner than I meant it to be. There was a lot of ups, a couple downs, but mostly a lot of creamy middles. I've stated before that Joshua Williamson's aim when crafting this story was trying to tell a DC Crisis tale that honored every era in DC Comics, and mostly I think he did that. A lot of fan favorites got their moments to shine, and I think a lot of people are going to be really happy with the big ending wherein Dick Grayson finally gets a chance to lead. It does actually feel like the DC Universe is taking a couple baby steps forward in changing their status quo. It is a little weird though for a story that is, you know, basically acting as a sequel to the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. The actual Earths themselves coming back was kind of an afterthought and didn't really have much of a bearing on the story. I mean, the stage is certainly set now for other writers to play with the idea, and maybe we'll get some cool stories based in and around the Infinite Earths now that they're back. But, you know, as a longtime reader of DC Comics, I would be lying if I said I missed them when they were gone, or that, oh boy, writers sure did struggle to tell out-of-continuity stories without them. Then, of course, there's all the stuff with Black Adam, which, you know what, I don't even think is bad, I just think it's hilarious, and it ended up basically dating the story before it was even fully done. It's gonna be funny when comic scholars think back on this story and be like, geez, you know, why did Black Adam get such a big push in that last Crisis story? Oh, because he had a movie they thought would be a lot bigger than it was. Overall, I think I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It was good. Not great, not the best, but certainly not the worst Crisis I've read in the last couple of years either. I just think that it's maybe the weakest when compared to the other two series in Joshua Williamson's big multiverse redefining run that was Infinite Frontier and Justice League Incarnate. I might actually be tempted to go back and read those other two at some point, but I might not be tempted to come back and read this one for a while.
Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to
like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time, everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.